Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to a live Manchester United news show where Alice has spilt her drink down her just before she's gone live, looking like a bit of an idiot. But we are going to get into the news, we're going to get into stories, we're going to get into a little bit of chat because Jim Ratcliffe, I don't know if you guys remember him saying, I don't want Mbappe, I don't want Bellingham, I want the next Mbappe and Bellingham with Manchester United's transfer approach and a few players, pardon me, we've been linked to. Now, Manchester United have been linked to two really young centre-backs, 18 and 19 years of age, probably the best up-and-coming centre-back targets. And there's a feeling and suggestion that Man United might go for one experienced centre-back like a Brentwaite, and then one centre-back that's an 18-year-old that they can put 12, 13 million quid on, like Manchester City do. That could be the next Brentwaite. That could be the next big talent as well, to be honest. And I'm going to talk about those players that we're linked to, those players that we're looking at, those players, those Wonderkids that United could sign on the cheap, this new approach that Ineos look to be sort of taking towards young talent as well. Some interesting news. Oh, we've got a little bit of lag there as well. So big up everybody in the chat. Please do hit that like button if you haven't already. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. And then I want to talk about Mainoo. To be honest, I've also got news on McTominay being given a new contract, which I think would be silly. But in regards to Kobby Mainoo, I have to say, I can't believe so many rivals are rattled by him. You know Kobby Mainoo's good when rivals are trying to find everything they can to hate him. Rivals that support England don't like him that much that they want him to be crap for England so they can say, oh, I told you he's overrated, or I told you he's rubbish. If you support England, like Bukayo Saka, when he was playing for England, I wanted him to be brilliant because he's playing for England in the Euros, even though I don't like Arsenal, because I support England and he's playing for England. There are England fans out there wanting Kobby Mainoo's debut to fail, wanting to be crap, because they're annoyed that, I don't know, Harvey Elliott wasn't called up when Kobby Mainoo plays as a 6 and Harvey Elliott plays as a right-sided number 8. You know, that he does not, Harvey Elliott cannot play the same positions Kobby Mainoo can play. I mean, they can play some of the same, but they're completely different players. So there's this whole silly debate going on. And of course, the biggest idiot on football Twitter, the biggest knobhead, Joey Barton, of course, is all involved. And Joey Barton then puts up this tweet that Mainoo's overrated and this and that. And Harvey Elliott, this and that, this and that. And you know Joey Barton. Joey Barton's the best advert for why they should ban heading in football, because everything he's done post-football makes no sense. But I'm like, Harvey Elliott's playing as a right-sided 8 and a right winger. Kobby Mainoo plays as a 6. England only have Declan Rice as a 6 because Calvin Phillips has pulled out and Henderson's pulled out, and Mainoo does the roles that Calvin Phillips and Henderson do. Elliott does the roles that you'd expect a Foden or Bellingham to do. Anyway, continuing on, loads of people going in on Kobby Mainoo because Harvey Elliott wasn't picked. Even though I don't get the comparison, Harvey Elliott deserves a call-up, but not maybe someone else he's got to replace, not Kobby Mainoo, because they do two different roles. So there's been a stupid debate and comparison going on between Kobby Mainoo and Harvey Elliott. And Joey Idiot Barton then starts piling on this hate to Kobby Mainoo, which just shows that Kobby Mainoo's doing everything right. Because if Joey Barton doesn't rate you, it probably means you're a good footballer because he's got the ball knowledge of, I don't know, for someone that has to go to other people for their ball knowledge. But he did a poll. He was like, and it was like 60% of the people said that Kobby Mainoo was better than Harvey Elliott. He was going on about how Harvey Elliott's better than Mainoo. Did a poll. Everyone outvoted him, and everyone voted Mainoo because Mainoo is good. But the hate that Mainoo is getting is absolutely ridiculous as well. Literally, I just think like rivals were wanting him to fail, and I just think that tells you everything that Kobby Mainoo is doing right as well. Have you ordered a waistcoat when Southgate joined you? Says saying. I will lose my mind if Southgate comes to United, but I have a feeling it's not true. But I will lose my mind as well. Hope your dad gets sorted out, Alice. Yeah, hopefully it will sort out as well. Ineos worry me, keep Ten Hag and back him fully. I mean, I tell you what, I spoke to someone who's one of Ten Hag's biggest haters the other day, and he said he'd rather Ten Hag stay than Southgate come in. So that tells you everything you need to know about Southgate. João Gomez looked good yesterday, but Wolves look great. We should get him. Well, João Gomez has been linked to United, and we are actually going to talk about that later on in the show. But I just wanted to have a conversation about Kobby Mainoo. There's just some Liverpool fans and some people on Twitter that were just attacking Kobby Mainoo. Obviously not United fans, saying, oh, we've got skinned for the goal. Oh, it's his fault we conceded. No, it's not. No, it's not. Conor Gallagher was having the worst performance on the pitch. No, who was worse than Conor Gallagher for England yesterday? Maybe Chilwell. The Chelsea boys were having crap performances. Conor Gallagher was having a stinker. Conor Gallagher made 24 passes in 75 minutes. Kobby Mainoo comes on for 15 minutes and makes 20 passes, all of which were accurate. Gallagher and his inaccurate passing accuracy. Gallagher, who only managed to make 24 passes, Kobby Mainoo 100% pass accuracy, 20 passes in 15 minutes, when Gallagher could only do 24 in 75 minutes. Yes, we conceded when Kobby Mainoo was on the pitch, but that's that Kobby Mainoo's fault? Is it his fault that they got past the whole attack, the whole defence, the whole midfield, and the goalkeeper? No. And it's like this idiot was going, oh, yeah, it's Kobby Mainoo's fault we conceded. He was skinned for the goal, la-di-la. And I'm like, of course and then you look at his profile and it's just someone that's been ranting about, oh, why isn't Harvey Elliott and Curtis Jones scored up before Kobby Mainoo? And this stupid toxicity of rivals being jealous that Kobby Mainoo is talented. Basically, they're looking for an excuse to hate on him, even if they're English. Even if they're supporting England, they want us to be bad. And I think that's mad. But I think that tells you everything that Kobby Mainoo is doing correctly. I think the fact that rivals are there on their keyboards getting wound up by Kobby Mainoo tells you how good he is. When was the last time we had a young player that's actually actively winding up rivals? Because everybody that watches football without their bias cap on is like, okay, that guy's a baller. The amount of neutrals that are like, that guy is an actual baller. If you watch him, you know he's a baller. And he's so good that rivals can't take that we've actually got some generational gem on our hands and they are losing their minds. And I think that just tells you how good Kobby Mainoo is. How good Kobby Mainoo is as well. People are saying England are trash. I mean, I barely watched the game yesterday, to be honest. And I didn't give it much attention because I was out and about. Mainoo is brilliant. As you are beautiful. Well, hopefully, that means I'm really beautiful because Mainoo's bloody brilliant. Foden was not good. No, Foden's never been good for England. Foden is good for Manchester City because Foden is a system player. Foden is a class player, but he's a system player. And Pep's unlocked that. But Phil Foden has never been good in an England shirt because Southgate does not utilise him in his best role. Rashford's been better in an England shirt and Saka's been better in an England shirt than Foden. Do you know what I mean? But Foden's probably been better in a Man City shirt this season. Just Southgate can't unlock Foden and that style of football as well. Foden always looks average when he plays for England. He does. Rashford is very good for England. Saka's very good for England, but Foden's never been good for England. And I think that is because of the way that we play. We don't get the best out of Foden. And I think that's another reason why maybe Southgate should be sacked because we're not getting the best out of players. Mm-hmm. Club football more interesting. Glad Man United back in 6 days. Yeah, I think Konza looked quite good yesterday when he came on. And I think he was playing out position as well. If we hire Southgate, I'll stop watching football. Well, I mean, the only good thing about watching England play yesterday, the only good thing about England being as bad as they were is surely it's an advert to Ineos of, do you really want this manager at United? Do you really want this manager at United? Do you know what I mean? I mean, I've never rated Southgate, but I mean, that wasn't even a good Brazil team. If that was like prime Brazil, Neymar, all the top. Like if this was like Pele, Ronaldo, prime Brazil, Neymar, fair enough. But this was a Brazil side with Wendell, João Gomez, and Hendrick, that's 17, all good players. But that wasn't a particularly wow. I've seen some Brazilian teams and I'm like, we ain't beating that. That's a Brazilian team. We should be beating that. And the fact that Conor Gallagher just had the biggest stinker ever. I mean, I can't believe people were even outraged that Mainoo got on the pitch. Surely after watching Conor Gallagher's stinker, everybody there's like, I want to see Mainoo. Because Mainoo was levels above Conor Gallagher. It was like night and day. And Mainoo only had 15 minutes. He didn't lock himself as well. People say Chilwell was poor as well. Alex Mainoo will crumble under all this pressure. Well, he's been playing, starting for Man United week in, week out, playing against City, playing against Liverpool, and he's not crumbled under this pressure yet. So I think he's got a strong mindset. I think he's got a strong mentality, to be fair, as well. Mainoo and Rice look great together. I think Southgate hinted post-game in the press conference that he might turn Kobbie into a starter potentially. But my only fear is, because Rice played 90 minutes, there's a feeling that Rice is going to not play the next game against Belgium. And that might mean a Mainoo-Gallagher pivot, which means that poor Mainoo's going to have to do everything in a pivot with Conor Gallagher. Whereas I want to see a Mainoo-Rice pivot as well, because apparently Henderson's injured. Southgate's so horrible. Even Mainoo didn't know when to pass the ball, la-di-da. How can Watkins score? Yeah, I don't think you could blame Watkins when there was F all created for him as well. Alice, do you remember England were without Kane and Saka? Obviously we didn't have our best players, but Brazil didn't have the best players. You'd expect better football, whereas Mainoo is actually playing too much football. He's playing a lot of football, but he's just so good. 100% pass rates. Rivals are hating on him because they hate United. Exactly. We should be looking at João Gomez. So João Gomez that played for Brazil yesterday, currently at Wolves, has been linked to United as a midfield option. And definitely one to keep an eye on. Premier League proven, very talented midfielder there as well. I'm not sure what United's sort of plan is with that. Obviously, the João Gomez links are quite fresh. But obviously, he's been playing very well for Wolves this season. Wolves, I think everyone put Wolves to get relegated, remember, at the start of the season. And Neto, João Gomez, Cunha, Wang, they've all stepped up. The only thing about João Gomez is he's more of a box-to-box player. He can play defensive midfield, but he's more of a box-to-box player. And I don't know if United want to go for a more DM than box-to-box player when they look at sort of the next signing, in midfield. I think they want to go for a DM. There was actually reports coming out yesterday that Manchester United want to go out there and sign a DM. But enough of me talking about the England game. We will talk about that. We'll have a chat about that in a minute. I do feel like I should probably get into the transfer news because that is in the title and the thumbnail of the video. And that's probably what people want to see. So there's two players that Manchester United have been linked with. And the first player is a guy called Aaron Anselmino. Now, I've done a video on him before. Not that I've watched him, not that I know loads about him, but we've been linked to him on about 3-4 occasions now. So I did a video on this guy before and I did a bit of research on this player. But here's the news just to keep you up to date. And I think that this would be a very good signing from what I've researched. I've not watched him play. I'm not going to lie to you. I can't tell you for a fact, how good he is. But from the research I've done, I'm going to get into that in a second. I think he's a good signing. It said that Manchester United are really interested in Argentina centre-back Aaron Anselmino. They have been scouting him thoroughly. The player has a release clause of around £17.2 million. My head's gone a bit. I'm just going to take some water. I had a heavy night last night, so I'm a bit dead this morning. So this is a guy with a £17 million release clause centre-back. So who is this guy that we're looking at and why could this be realistic? So Manchester United want to sign 2 centre-backs this summer. And there's a suggestion if potentially to save money off the budget isn't there, that they might go and get a Branthwaite for 60 million and then a young up-and-coming centre-back for 20 million that they can mould in the side because they need 2 centre-backs, but one could be young and up-and-coming, one could be expected to play with Martinez, Bish, Bash, Bosh. And that's what they could be doing. So who is Aaron Anselmino? I'm just going to call him Aaron because I'm just going to keep fucking up his second name, aren't I? He was born in 2005. He's 18 years old and he's been playing for Boca Juniors. He had a very, very good game in the Argentine Cup versus Central Nord the other day. And what makes him so impressive is apparently his anticipation, his reading of the game, his understanding of the game is good. But he's also very agile and very good on the ball, very good at stealing the ball, using his body to steal the ball, agilely winning the ball back and then turning and then playing the ball forward. He's very good on the ball. He's a very good passer and he's very good at carrying the ball. And he's sort of seen as the top centre-back. Spoke to someone, they said he's a bit like Christian Romero and he's probably the best centre-back talent to come out of Argentina post-Christian Romero. He's 18 years of age. He plays for Boca Juniors. He's seen as a complete and dominant centre-back. Very dominant, very complete, very full package compared to Romero. Pace, tackling, anticipation, tenacity, determination, reactions, aerial duels and athleticism seem to be his strengths. While he's also good on the ball, he seems to be athletically very, very good. Kind of a little bit like Saliba was in his early days, where he's very hard to beat 1v1 because of his reading of the game, because of his determination, because of his pace, because of his strength. He's very, very hard to beat. And he's sort of seen as a player as having a top potential. So he is one of the guys United are looking at as well. Someone says no more Wonderkids. I think to have a mixture of players that entering their prime, young players and Wonderkids is good as well. But yeah, very, very good young player as well. If he's half as good as the other Argentina centre-back, bring him. Yeah, that is the mood as well. But he's seen as apparently one of the top players. Apparently he can be quite flexible as well in his approach as well. United need 3 new centre-backs, especially if Varane leaves for free. Maguire and Lindelof get sold. Yeah. I mean, Todibo and Branthwaite would be my first 2, but I do think the idea of bringing in this young up-and-coming talent who could be a world beater, a bit like Lenny Euro and all that, could be quite smart from United as well. But let's talk about the other centre-back we've been linked to, because he isn't the only centre-back we've been linked to. And I think the fact that we've been linked to 2 really young centre-backs today gives me a suggestion that Manchester United are looking to have an approach of, okay, Branthwaite or someone experienced. Well, Branthwaite's not really experienced, he's 21. I think United want to go for a prospect at centre-back. The problem is this player, Bayern Munich are really interested in signing, and there's going to be some competition. And this is, of course, Faye, who plays for Barcelona. Now, he played yesterday for Senegal, and he scored a massive, mad goal on his international debut. And Man United have been following this guy for a while. We've been linked to him a little bit. He's not played for Barcelona yet, but he's one of those that Xavi mentioned as top. Bayer Leverkusen, Inter Milan, and Bayern Munich are all tracking this player and are interested in the player, he is seen as the kind of guy that can play left centre-back, he could play left-back, and he can even play as an inverted centre-back / full six double pivot like John Stones. He's seen as a little bit of a reincarnation of John Stones. He's 6'1" and he's left-footed. And he can also play left back. He's very good at defending the wide channels. He mostly plays in a back four, but he could play in a back three. But he's also shown that he could play in midfield. You know, defenders, he have to be good on the ball these days, and that's where he excels. He's technically very good. His athleticism is good. He can defend large spaces, defend wide channels. Very good at dealing with attackers 1v1 because of his athleticism, his timing, his acceleration. His body's quite strong, but he's very known for actually not only being good off the ball, but it's what he does on the ball, which makes him so good. And this is seen as one of the best centre-back talents up and coming, which is surprising he hasn't played for Barcelona yet as well. He's sort of known for a guy that's determined, the guy that likes to get stuck in, make things happen, which is the kind of centre-back that you want at United, and he's very powerful. He's known for winning duels. He's known for giving his team an advantage over opponents. He's known for basically stopping counter-attack, stopping transitions, stopping opponents from turning with the ball. And he's very good at dealing with direct opponents, very good at dealing with transitions, which would suit the Premier League. And he's got the athleticism and the frame to probably do well in the Premier League as well, and looks good on the ball. So that is the other centre-back Man United are keeping an eye on, who could be a decent signing as well. Man, you need Branthwaite and De Ligt. I'm not the biggest fan of De Ligt, believe it or not, but Branthwaite looks good. Boca's, Anselmino and Valetti, both very good. My mate is a Boca fan, goes on about both. Yeah, so I don't particularly know loads about both Wonderkid centre-backs we're looking at, but I think the fact that we're looking at lots of 18, 19-year-old centre-backs wouldn't surprise me for making a move. We've been linked to Scalvani as well. The interesting thing is Manchester United have basically been linked to like 100 different centre-backs. I don't know what we're going to do in the centre-back market. We've been linked to Todibo, we've been linked to Branthwaite, we've been linked to Lenny Euro, we've been linked to this player, we've been linked to that player, we've been linked to so many centre-backs. It's like, well, does anyone know what we're going to do? I feel like we're probably going to sign 2 centre-backs, one young one bit more experienced one, but Bremer as well is another one, Tapsover is another one, Gay is another one. There's just so many players we've been linked to as well. He's quite young as well, and he could be classed as homegrown for a few years. This is something we might need to do after our clear out, because a lot of our deadwood are technically homegrown players as well. United need a new striker and 2 centre-backs. Greenwood, Sancho Williams back, Amrabat for permanent signing. Shaw and Malacia will be good next year. Wamsak and Delay should be fine. I think Sancho will go, Greenwood will go, and Williams will go, and I think Amrabat will go. Personally, I would avoid African players because of AFCON. I mean, I don't think AFCON's on enough to worry about that. Like, you know, look at Mo Salah. Would I take Mo Salah at United? Yes, even if it's AFCON every 2 years. That personally doesn't bother me. Like, yeah, you lose that player for a little bit, but I mean, look at the injury-prone players as well. Scott's extension is frustrating to me. We'll never get progress if we're keeping those types. And I do want to talk about reports and rumours of Scott McTominay getting a contract extension at Manchester United. Now, I'm going to say, first of all, this has come out from the Daily Star. The Daily Star, when they say things, I don't believe it unless other journalists start saying the same things. Okay, now it's the Daily Star and the Mirror are the 2 sources of information saying this. So while it is coming from 2 sources, they're not sort of credible sources. So I would say, as of now, there's nothing credible in McTominay getting a new deal, and I would still believe more reliable reports saying that Innes wants to move him on. But at the same time, would I be surprised if Man United gave McTominay a new deal? Because that's what we do. Man United give players that aren't good enough new deals because they have 1 month of good form where they score a few goals. And that's why I wouldn't be surprised if we give McTominay a new deal, despite this coming from the Daily Star. It was said, according to the Daily Star, United's hierarchy is convinced McTominay has a vital role to play in the club's future, and they want to offer him a longer contract with a pay rise. The 27-year-old has 15 months left on his current deal and is on 60k a week, and the club have an option to extend that by another 12 months. The way I look at it is, McTominay is 27. He's not going to get any better. He is not good enough to start. He's a good bench option, but he's not good enough to start. He's 27. He's not going to get any better. He's not good enough to start. He can give us a pure FFP profit in a tight transfer market, but he's on 60k a week. Because he's on 60k a week, which is quite a normal wage, that means he will be a lot easier to sell than players that are on 200k a week. So I think McTominay's got a year and a half left. Why don't we sell him while we can still get money for him this summer, while his value is high, off the back of him having a good season, so teams are more likely to pay for him, because he won't be good enough for United. He won't be good enough to start for United. He's on 60k a week. He's not going to get any better. He's 27. We have to cash in on McTominay this summer. We have to cash in on McTominay this summer. He's a squad player. pure FFP profit, you can still get 30 to 40 million. He's had a good season. He's not going to get any better. He's on 60k a week. He's open to leaving. He's easy to sell. For me, if there's one player I feel like we have to cash in on this summer, it is Scott McTominay. We moved on, but Phil Neville in their late 20s who were well clear of Scott. Too much sentimentality, I know. Too much. Scott's a good player, but he's not a great player. And Man United deserve great players. Sometimes players can be good. He's great off the bench. He's a great option off the bench. He can win us games. But sometimes we have to say, well, could we start week in, week out of him and win the league? No. Could we even get top 4 start week in, week out of him? Maybe if we had a good squad around him. He's great off the bench, but yeah, we can get 30 to 40 million from the right club and use the money for young talents. Exactly. We know that he's not good enough to start. We know that he's not good enough on the ball. Why don't we get 40 million for him and use that 40 million to buy someone that will be good enough to start? Why don't we be smart? And that's what we need to do. And that's what's going to be a big test of Ineos. You know, I've been quite positive behind Ineos. I like everything they're doing. This Dan Ashworth, Omar Barada, and trying to back them and trying to be positive. But if you see Ineos keeping on Scott McTominay and not selling those kind of players, that's when I do say, are we just repeating the same mistakes? I want to see those players gone. No more of this sentimentality. If you're not good enough, you're not good enough. And let's sell you. It doesn't matter. I've got a few other people have been talking about Aaron Anselmino. He's born in 2005. He could be able, you could deploy him at DM because he's very good at possession and he's very smart, top reader of the game. These types of deals are exciting. A lot of people sounding very, very positive about, of course, this centre back that Manchester United have been linked to. I'm going to go do some research on the centre back that we've been linked to and everything as well, and see how good he is and do a little bit of watching of him. But definitely want to keep an eye on because we've been linked to him quite a fair bit as well. We got everybody in the chat. Please hit the like button, of course, subscribe down below. Scott has the right mentality, but not the quality yet. Look, Scott's mentality is what I would love to put in every Man United player. I will never fault Scott's mentality, his work rate, his desire. I think he's an old school footballer who's got the attitude. He's not a social media footballer. He's an old school, hard working footballer. I have a lot of respect for McTominay in terms of his personality. He's a Ferguson player, but just not the Fergie quality. He's everything you want in a player, and he's a good squad player because he's everything you want. But in the modern game of football, he doesn't do enough in possession to suit a United. He could be a really good player for a team. Lower, like mid-table team, but I just don't think it's good enough for United as well. We need to buy a player like Roy Keane. I'd love it. Do you know what? If we could bring any player back in their prime Roy Keane, put him in that Man United squad, wow, that would be class to see. I do have to say, prime Michael Carrick was underrated as well. Michael Carrick, I think, is one of the most underrated Man United players. I just remember watching football growing up. Paul Scholes I thought was brilliant, but he was sort of coming to the end. Michael Carrick I thought was brilliant, and Ronaldo and Rooney I thought were brilliant. They were always the players that I always really liked Michael Carrick, actually. I think he was an underrated player because we had so many great players. So I understand why Michael Carrick wouldn't get spoken about as much because of how good some of the other players was. But I personally think he was a baller as well. Carrick was always underrated for club and country. Roy Keane was good to watch. He's good as a pundit as well. So Steve Alice, the left back from our youth, he is good. In fact, for me, in defence, better than Luke Shaw, but won't get a chance into Ten Hag. Well, I think Luke Shaw's a very good left back, but he's injured. I think Harry Amas is very young and raw, so I understand why Ten Hag isn't bringing him up, but I think he could be one to see in pre-season, maybe break for a little bit next season, but I think, he's just turned 16, it's raw, it's early days. I think Alvaro Fernandez, considering the injury, should have stayed at United and been given a chance, and I will blame Ten Hag for that, and partly the board and recruitment, but yeah, I understand why Harry Amas hasn't played, because it's nice to be like, oh, why don't we play Harry Amas? Why don't we play Charlie McNeil? But Mainoo is an exception. Mainoo is ready. Garnacho is ready. Some of these kids are talented, but doesn't mean they'll be ready. Especially, I think when they're 18, they can be ready. Sometimes when they're 17, they can't be ready. Very few players at 16 are ready. Lamine Yamal was just like a crazy exception, but very few players come in at 16 are like, wow. And Harry Amas, as good as he is, he's 16. He's not played under 23s, he's playing under 18s. I think he's got to take that step up first as well. Kobbie's defensive style reminds me of Carrick, rather smart rather than rash tackles. Yeah, I think Kobbie is so good on the ball, and I think his biggest weakness is defensive, but his defensive play is still really good. It's still really smart, and he's improving as well. I think he's really improving Kobby Mainoo, but I just really want to see Man United bring in a proper 6 to get the best out of Kobby Mainoo so he can do more on the ball and less defensive duty. I hope you get Kubarasi or Faye. I mean, again, great centre-backs there, but Barcelona's academy, man. I think our academy is great, but Barcelona probably that one team that have a better academy than Man United right now. They have some absolutely talented stars in their academy, don't they? it's just wow as well. If Carrick was playing today, YouTubers would be advocating for him to be sold. To be fair, there'd be one or two idiots probably wanting him out. But I think, I'll tell you what, prime Michael Carrick in this Man United squad, I would take that. Him and Mainoo, I would take that as well. There is a lot of talk that Jim Ratcliffe wants to secure McTominay and give him a pay rise and a new contract. I'm hoping, because it's come from the Daily Star, that these reports that we're going to give McTominay a new contract and bring in Southgate and stuff is all just fake reports that media are making up to try and create some negativity. Because the media know if you create negativity from the Man United aggregator accounts, you get trending, you get clicks, you get views, you get interactions, you get what you want, you get your money. So that's why I think a lot of the news at the moment is fake. I mean, it's a bit boring reporting on the Man United news, which is why I did a different video yesterday. Is Ronaldo right about Garnacho? I wanted to change it up a bit, because it's the international break. It's just a bit of a dead period when it comes to news. So I think people are looking to get stories out or like almost scrape the barrel for content. And it's just the same stuff that gets written about with no credibility at the moment. But I do think the young centre-back situation is one to keep an eye on for sure, definitely. Listen, people, please hit the like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new and share the video. Without Carrick in our team, you don't win that last EPL title we won. Yes, Michael Carrick was just an underrated baller, wasn't he, as well? Ryan Giggs was class. Yeah, I don't blame Ten Hag for Alvaro. He said in a press conference that Malacia, Maguire and Mount would all be fit and available mid-January, and Shaw was already fit by then. True. I don't blame Ten Hag to the extent of like that, because he was told that Luke Shaw and Malacia would be fit, but it's just frustrating because surely we should have known more. And if that was the case, why would we let Alvaro go as well? Matt Weaver's the DM we should get. I agree. Matt Weaver's my first choice DM just because on the ball he looks so good, and that's something that we lack in our midfield. 100 likes. Big up everybody on the chat. Carrick carried us in the early post-Alex Ferguson era as well. Yeah, under Van Gaal, we were so much better when Carrick played. He again was one of our few players that stepped up post-Fergie. I love Michael Carrick as well. I think he's a decent manager as well, to be fair to him as well. But yeah, very, very underrated. Very, very underrated, wasn't he? People are saying, do you think there's more to talk about in regards to Anthony? I don't know. I think that there's a good player in Anthony. Anthony has not been good at United, and I think Anthony should be sold because he's had 2 seasons at United and he's not been good. But I generally think there's a reason Ten Hag likes Anthony so much. The reason we spent money on him, because he was a good player at Ajax and he did show his strengths. And we don't play a way that suits the way Anthony wants to play, so it makes it harder for Anthony. I mean, I would cash in on Anthony because he's not been good enough. But I do think there's a much better player in Anthony than we've seen at United. I thought he was good in that Liverpool game. I think there is a good Anthony, and I think Anthony can be a good Premier League player. But I just feels like right now it's just like a League 2 player with how bad he's been at United, because I watched him at Ajax and he was very good at Ajax. And I do believe there's a good player in Anthony. And I thought last season he was okay. Like, he wasn't good last season, but I just thought we were a better team when he played last season. And this season he's dropped off and got even worse. I don't know if that's because of off the field issues. I would sell Anthony this summer. But I don't think we're going to be able to sell him because of the off-the-pitch investigation going on, because of how poor he's been. But I do think, I wouldn't completely write off Anthony. I'd sell him this summer, and then I guess then you write it off. But I know there was a good player in there at Ajax, so I wouldn't completely write him off, and I understand why Ten Hag likes him as well. The class of 92 were amazing. We had 2 amazing centre-backs in Vidic and Ferdinand, some decent keepers as well. Yeah, we had some unbelievable players when I was growing up, when I was really young. Yeah, hopefully under Ineos we'll have some unbelievable players again soon. Mainoo's an 8. Alice, stop talking rubbish. I said that Mainoo's an 8 predominantly, but he can play as a 6. Because he's been playing as a 6 for Man United. I said he's an 8, but he's been playing as a 6 for Man United. He can play as a 6. He's a dual pivot player, really. The club needs to learn when to cash in. City and Liverpool are both brilliant. That helps fund new signings. Anthony's quite a hard-working player. He's just not good enough to play in the PL. Ten Hag could convert him to left-back. Wouldn't mind, says Nubis. I mean, I don't know. I think that he doesn't suit the way United play, because Eric Ten Hag doesn't play the way he played at Ajax as well. So I think Anthony could be a Premier League level player, but you just don't know. I think he would be more suited to maybe another league like the Bundesliga. I think that Anthony could leave United and revive his career. I do. I don't know if he'll revive at United. I hope he does. But I think he could leave United, revive his career, and show that he's not an awful player. But he has been very poor at United to the point where I would sell him as well. Mainoo's a hybrid 6 or 8, thrives better as an 8. Yeah, 100%. 100%. He's been playing mostly as a 6 because he has to at United, and he can play as a 6, and he can do a job, which is, not it's a difficult role to do. That 6 role at Manchester United, as you can arguably say, is probably the most difficult role to play at United. That 6 role, I think we can all argue and say that as well. So yeah, Alice, do you think we'll buy players in the summer? We will buy players in the summer, but I think a lot of the talk at the moment is poor. Mainoo could even play 10. He is good. I think he's very good in build-up where you'd want him deeper on the pitch, but he could potentially play as a 10. We won't get enough for Anthony to make profit for PSR. That's why I think Anthony will be here next season, and we've got to just hope that Anthony becomes good, because I think you're absolutely right there, Stephen. Mainoo's so versatile, he can play any role on the pivot. He can play 6, he can play 8. I think he has the capabilities to play 10, but because he's so good in build-up, in that sort of first phase, you kind of want him to help with your build-up more than sort of be a 10 because of his capabilities in possession. But yeah, I agree. People are saying that Anselmino is literally Sergio Ramos regen. He's unreal on the ball, only 6'1" and impressive aerially. No nonsense defender, not overly aggressive like a lot of South American centre backs, but can either play centre back or is very solid on either foot. Hearing lots of good things about Anselmino, the centre back we're linked to as well. So I will definitely do some research on him. Listen, people, please hit the like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. It's only going to be a short half-an-hour live stream because it's the international break. There's not loads and loads to talk about, but I thought we'd have a little chat about England. We'd have a little chat about the news. Thought I'd go live. I go live lunchtime on the weekends. I go live evenings on weekdays. So I will be back live tomorrow evening. If there's any breaking news, I'll be back live later. If not, there'll be a video of some sorts. Any news, I'll update you guys, of course. So please do hit that subscribe button if you're new for daily United news and content. Please hit the like button. Thank you for watching. Bye.